So there was different points in my life where certain things were beyond my control as far as to what it is now. I was like a poor individual who had to suffer through certain times in my life where I had to be on welfare. And the whole reason why I wanted to do this video was to lift up somebody's spirits, inspire somebody, but at the same time, show you guys who I am now and take you through my life journey as to who I used to be. At one point in my time in my life as a kid, up into my teen years, I was on welfare, and it wasn't something by my choice. Because in my adult years, being married and everything, I've never been on welfare, and I'm proud of that. I'm very proud of that. But I came from an area or a time where financial means was not in my control. Unfortunately for me, with my mother being in a lowly place of being on drugs and alcohol and stuff like that, it put us in a financial strain. And I think with her actually going through this circle of life where she was trying to find her way out, we were just along for the ride. It's the unfortunate thing that occurs for kids. So sometimes you try to figure out how to make sense out of all of this. I just thought to myself one day, I don't want my situation when I grow up to be like this. The things that I was subjected to, having to live in a dire situation where we were living with roaches. There was times where there was no lights, no food to eat and stuff like that. And really, ultimately, it was just an embarrassment for me. I didn't talk about it at school. I didn't talk about, when I was in elementary, I went through some really, really tough times where I had to worry about a lot of hand-me-downs, a lot of secondhand clothes, a lot of secondhand shoes. There was times where stuff didn't fit me. Shoes didn't fit me. My feet had already grown past that point. There was times where I would have to go without a haircut. Like I said, being deprived of things that others got an opportunity to have in their life. And so I think inside of all of that, it pushed me, it made me want to work harder, want to be more than the situation that I was in, more as a person that, you know what, I can do this, I can be all that I want to be, stuff like that. So I just started to dream beyond the circumstances. So I found my own little way of just locking myself in that moment and keeping myself in that place of figuring out a way. So I said, you know what? I got to make sure I finish school. I got to make sure I get an education. I got to make sure that no matter what, on the positive side of things, I'm going to keep my child, my family out of the situation of having to resort to welfare. There was a time when I was in junior high, probably was my most embarrassing moment, where a kid found out that I was on welfare and that, our rent only cost $2. Because what it is that when you are on welfare, the government basically pays for your food, your shelter, your electricity, everything. But they only set a certain parameter. They only a certain amount that they actually cover. The rest is left up to the household. And this little kid, he did a little research. He found out through the apartment complex that I lived in a Section 8, which is like a housing project where you got like a bulk of the families that live in these apartments, they're on Section 8 too. They're also in dire needs, dire straits. They're going through the same thing. And more than likely what happens too is that what I've learned over the years is that a lot of times when people are in poverty and poverty-stricken situations where they are depending on the government, these environments, people are more likely to be subjected to certain things of drugs, molestation, rape, violence, gang-affiliated activities going on, which all of those things I was subjected to, seen, been through, watched, all at one time. But it got to a point in my life where I broke away. I started to break away. I started to work hard and focus on school, getting my education. And when I finished high school, I went on ahead and got my diploma. 2 weeks after graduating from high school, I went on ahead and started school. I went on ahead and went to college. I was not going to play because I felt like I didn't need to give myself any time to think about an opportunity to get out in the streets and do what other people were doing. So I went ahead and went to school 2 weeks after graduating. I got my certification about a year and a half later in information technology. Some odd years later, went on, worked, and got my software engineering degree. And now I'm working, I'm working on other things in my life. But at this current moment, I work in the day-to-day basis of software. I pretty much help people with their computers, help people with their situation. And I think just going back and forth a little bit, that's what helps me stay home. So it always seems like people are always trying to figure out, they try to figure out, you're different. You're different as far as your YouTube channel, the relationships you develop with the people, the things that you go through. You're very open and very transparent. It's because I feel like humble beginnings have kept me in a humble position to where I acknowledge how I got here. I don't sit up here and make it as though I got here on my own strength. I got here off the backs of other folks that came before me. I got family, I got friends, I got support systems and stuff like that helped me out in order to get to where I'm at now. So I just stay focused within that realm. Being in a lowly place, being in poverty, it can mess with you mentally because it can make you feel less than, feeling as though you're not good enough or you can't do certain things that you feel like this is all that I've earned, this is all that I deserve. And for a long time, that was my mental place. But I started to realize all these things that I experienced, all these things that I went through, they weren't just for nothing, and so I just wanted to tell my story about being on welfare because the big stigma that comes with being on welfare is embarrassment. And I was truly embarrassed. But now that I look back on it, I appreciate it and I understand it, that for that time being, that was my life. Having to have nothing, now I have something. And so whenever something comes into my life, I appreciate it that much more. I don't take things for granted. I don't take relationships, building relationships, opportunities that come to me, that are presented to me, things that are given to me, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Tell other people about it. Tell me about your life story if you feel compelled. I just wanted to inspire kids, teenagers, adults that feel like, oh, it's all over because I was always told that it wouldn't work out, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. Whereas I'm a person that came from nothing. I got something. I'm living my life to the fullest every day. Other than that, I'm Life Spiller. I'm out.